welcome to part 2 of our Teacher Bestie question and answer session. My name is Maddie from this channel, Primarily Yours, and I am so glad that you're here. This is Lauren from...
Hi, you guys. I am from Putting Them First here on YouTube and on Instagram as well. And if you missed part 1, it's over on my channel. We just answered more questions about student teaching, college, how we met, things like that. That's over on my channel, and just like interview tips. And then in this one...
Definitely go watch it.
Yes, definitely. But in this one, we're going to talk a little bit more about which subjects?
Mostly just our first year teaching experience, some general questions, and like our specific school schedules and that kind of thing. And then just the miscellaneous fun ones that didn't fit into any other category. I think first we're going to talk just a few questions about our specific school schedules, because that category was pretty short.
Okay,
She's opening our long note with all of
our long note of questions. Okay, so the first section, like you said, is just schedules, things that are specific to our schools in general. So I will ask you the first one. This one's good. What time do you wake up in the morning?
Well, okay. Should and do are two different things. I should wake up between like 5 and 5:30, but if I wake up at 6, I can still mostly manage to be out of my house by like 6:45 most days, and it takes me about 20 minutes to get to school. I'm a little longer with the school zones, I usually end up waking up at 6, and then I try to leave by about 6:45.
Got it.
School starts, that's the next one, never mind.
Don't spoil it. Sorry. I'm just kidding. So I wake up at 5. Our school, I think, starts at a different time. We'll talk about that next. But I think if I go in my alarms, I have like 5, 5:05, 5:07.
Me too.
And then 5:12. And if I'm not out of bed by like the 5:12 alarm, it's not going to go well. But I try to be gone, like pulling out of our driveway by about 6 o'clock on the dot. Some days is harder than others because we have snow. So I have to like shovel behind the car.
I cannot even imagine.
And like scrape the ice off the windshield if it's really thick. And I don't have a remote starter on my car, so some days I'll go and sit in the car with the heat on and just let it sit there for a long time before I can actually drive. So yeah, that's why I have to wake up at like 5 on like hard 5.
She's leaving when I wake up.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, I have to be like pulling out by 6. Also
That's
because
crazy.
like with the ice and the snow and stuff, some days you have to drive slower. So you guys know this if you've ever watched my channel, but if you watch any of my vlogs, if you're one of Maddie's subscribers and you watch a vlog for the first time, I'm crazy. Like I get places an hour early because I like have issues. So yeah, I wake up at 5. Next question. Yep. This one is the one that we've been avoiding answering. What time do each of your school days begin and end?
Okay, so teachers are required to be there starting at 7:15, and technically the doors open at 7:15. I try to get there at least by 7:10, if not, like I aim for 7 to 7:10. Yeah. That hardly ever happens. It's usually like 7:10 to 7:15, but the doors open at 7:15, and then the kids can come in, and then we watch them in the morning, kind of on a rotating schedule, and then school starts for us at 7:45, and then our last dismissal bell I think is at 1:52. The kindergartners, we get dismissed a couple minutes early so that we can get out safely before all the bigger kids come through the hallway. So I think we actually leave closer to like 1:40. So yeah, 7:45 to 1:40 is about our school day.
Got it.
Yep.
Ours is almost the same start time. Our as a teacher, you have to be there by 7:30. The kids come in at 7:40. But you're allowed to be there as early as 6:30, which is when I get there because of who I am as a person. So I get there at 6:30. The kids don't come in until 7:40, so I normally have like an hour before school. But I'm more of like a morning worker than an afternoon worker anyways, if that makes sense. And then our school day ends at about 2:40, like 2:35-ish. They start to kind of call like for the different transportations. But keep in mind the district that I'm working in is also like in receivership. So we have an extended school day to help really grow in our academics and better impact the students. So yeah, we have like an extended day. It's a little bit longer than it normally would be, but yeah.
So it's like an extra hour?
Yeah, about an extra hour.
Okay.
It's like 7:40 to about 2:40.
Okay.
And then the good thing about that though, being longer, the teachers can leave at 3. So 2:40 and then you can
wow.
get out of there at 3.
I didn't know that.
But you can.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to ask the next one?
Speaking of the next question, how late do you usually stay in school?
That's a good one.
So our school day ends around 1:45, and then our contract time of what we're paid until and when we're required to stay until is 2:45. I'm usually there until absolutely minimum of 4, but it's usually closer to 5, 5:30 or 6, which I know is not the best. I'm working on it. But yeah, I'm usually there until about 5 or 5:30. And then my school is one that I can't go in whenever I want, like on weekends, at nights, anything like that.
Same.
Which at first I was kind of bummed because I was like, oh, it'd be really nice to be able to go prep on Sundays or whatever. But it's actually Yikes. It's ended up being a really just nice blessing, and that I don't even have the choice to go to school on the weekends, which is nice.
Yeah.
And so they like literally lock up the gates at school, surrounding our school at 6 p.m. And so that's when I like have to be out of there. So all of that to say, usually 5 or 5:30, but I'm going to start hopefully in the new year in 2020, making a goal of at least a couple of days where I leave by even like 4. Eventually, I don't really want to stay a whole lot past contract time, but I know right now I'm just so busy like cutting, laminating, printing, like just all of the preparation, whereas next year I'll be able to just like pull out those resources and use them. So I stay at school a long time, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, this is one area where we kind of diverge.
Yep.
Because I talked about this a little bit, I think on like an update on my channel, but for the first like I would say month or so of school, I was having a really hard time because I was burning my candle at both ends. Like I just told you guys, I get to school over an hour before the kids get there, so I'm very much like there and working before they come. And then I would stay every day as long as I could, and then I would go home and work on stuff until like 10 p.m. and then wake up at 4 so I could work at home before I went to school. Like, it was just too much. So I had like a hard stop on that because I was not doing well. And now I pretty much leave. I kind of like found my balance. I went to like leaving right when I was allowed to, and now I'm kind of like going to a better place. I pretty much leave by like 3:30, 3:45, awesome. Which is very soon. But I will say I work at home. Like we don't have a color printer or a laminator that's like super reliable, or like cutting. Like I have some things that I have 2 of. So like I have a cutter at school in my room and at home for like a pinch. But I just prefer to use like my printer because I can print in color at home. I have cardstock at home. I have my laminator at home. And like I'm a kind of person where like I would rather be in my pajamas and at home and like Hallmark Channel on and just keep working at home. So yeah, I kind of leave a little bit earlier. But also Jake doesn't get home until like 6:30, my boyfriend. Yeah, that's who I live with in Massachusetts. He doesn't get home till about 6:30 anyways. So it's not like I have like a bunch of things to be done. So yeah, I like to work at home. So I leave at like 3:30.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Next category.
Ooh, okay, so that was all about like school routines and schedules. So the next section is first year. I will ask you first, Maddie. Okay. How is your first year going?
It's going. It's good. It's so cool to finally be doing what I've wanted to do for so long and been preparing to do for so long, and just have like all of the dreams that I've had of my classroom, like all the things that I've planned and bought and all of that are like in one room, which is so cool. And just I always would talk about like my future students and my future classroom and blah blah. It's here now. Like I have actual kids that are mine. Like I have an actual classroom that is mine. And so how's your first year going? Is that what it is? Okay. We have a lot of first year questions, and so I'm going to try to like keep my answer within the question. But yeah, it's going well. It's been challenging, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I think the first year for anything is going to be challenging, but it's good. It's hard, but it's good.
Yes.
Next.
Retweet.
Your turn. Same.
I would say it's going well. I found that it's definitely beneficial to have things outside of teaching. That was kind of like what I developed this year, is just having some sort of hobby or something that you can focus on when you're not in the classroom or when you're not kind of like on contract hours, because I was like obsessed of making sure that I was doing the best at every single thing, which you can't do. I mean, you're new to it. So it's hard being new to like everything and it being your first year at something. I'm not a person who likes to fail publicly, so it's hard just like being new and making those mistakes. But overall, I would say it's going well. I mean, I love teaching and we're literally living the dream. I still say that every morning when I'm the first one in the door. Our custodian always asks me, he's like, oh, you're here again. How's it going? And I'm always like, living the dream. And I don't even mean it like sarcastically or ironically. I'm totally serious. Like, we're
literally living the
Yeah.
dream.
I've wanted this for so long, and it now being like the end of the year, this is kind of a nice time to film this video because it's almost like new year, new goals.
Reflecting, looking ahead. Yeah.
But I was just telling you, like, I feel like this year has been like the best year of my life because although it is such a big change, it's like, oh, wow, like we're doing it. Like we are in it. We have our own room with our name on the door. Like, so it's going good.
Yeah.
It's new, but it's going well. The next one. Oh, I love this one.
Oh boy, I don't know
what inspired you to both become teachers to young kids?
That's a sweet one.
Sweet.
So I have always known that I wanted to be a teacher. There's a couple of other career paths that I considered, like being a wedding planner, event planner, and hospitality type
really good at
things. I think I might still enjoy that, but I love teaching. So yeah, I always wanted to be a teacher. Specifically, my 4th grade teacher, Miss Davis, had such a big impact on me, and she was the first one that really communicated to us that she cared about us as people, not just as students or as a number or anything like that. She cared about us as people, and like she coordinated events for our entire family, like all the families in the class outside of school. Like we had kickball games at a local park, and she took us to skate station to celebrate being done with our standardized testing, and she just had such a good classroom community, which I couldn't put my finger on then. Like I didn't have the words to describe that, but now knowing all the things that I know, her classroom community was phenomenal, and just how much she cared about her kids. And so she was really the one that inspired me, and she actually passed away when I was in 7th grade, but I've been able to keep in touch with her family, her sisters, her mom, and so it's been such a cool relationship to get to kind of continue on in her legacy, and just be a person that tells kids that they are loved, they are worthy, they are valuable. I hope that they're hearing that at home, but some of them may not be. We may be the only ones that are telling them that, and so that is just such a big deal to me, and I just feel so thankful that this is what I get to do. Like it's just such a privilege and an honor. So yeah,
I would agree, and you do a great job of making them know that they are loved. I will say that. I kind of talked about that in part 1. It's one of my favorite things about you. But for me, I am a military child. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but we moved so much when I was growing up that like I think I went to, I'm not kidding, over 18 different schools before I graduated high school. So for me, like it meant so much to me when I was new to a place, especially when it was a big move. Like once we moved from England, and that was all I had known, to like rural Alabama, culture shock. And that teacher, Miss Isbell, if you're watching this, I don't know that she would be, but she was amazing because to me, like I didn't have a place that was a home. Like I didn't have a building or a house that to me was a home. So school mattered to me. Like it mattered so much that when I went to a classroom, that felt like a family and a home, because I mean, you always have to go to school. So even though it was different people, it was different curriculums, it was different countries sometimes, it mattered so much to me to be like a part of a community. So it's kind of funny that both of us, like that's what you remember as a kid. And a lot of people say like you remember the way that like teachers made you feel. You might not remember the lessons, but you remember how they made you feel.
Yep, for sure.
So like I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher. Like on career days, I would dress up as a teacher. But when I went to school, I was not an elementary education major at all. I was a poli-sci for I think a year. And then I was dietetics. I should have graduated like a full year before I did because I couldn't figure it out. But
I'm so glad she didn't.
Yeah,
now
me too.
we know each other.
Then I was dietetics, and I wanted to do like nutrition, which I feel like that would still be something like I was interested in, just fitness in general. But I was kind of fighting education just because of like the stigma around like it being an easy thing to do.
Not.
It's not. Or like we'll talk about this later, but like the financial ramifications of being a teacher, things like that. So I fought it for a while, and then I was just like, you know what, like
this is what I want to do.
This is what I want to do. And like I've always known it, but especially being a cheerleader at Florida and working with the kids, and my coach especially was just like, you are so good with kids, like why are you not going to be a teacher? And I was like, you know what, I don't know anymore. So yeah, I'll be a teacher. So yeah, that's kind of like all of those factors working together landed me where I'm at. And I'm actually really happy because now, I don't know if I've told you this, but where my school is located, it's pretty close to an Air Force base. So
I didn't know that.
Some of our student population, I don't know that any of my kids now are military kids, but it's just special to me to have that close by and know that some of the population are military kids, because that is hard. It's really hard.
I didn't know that. That's
Alrighty. Do you want to read this question?
Sure. Oh boy. Do you think you'll both want to stay in your current grade levels long term? I'll let you go first.
Okay. I would say yes. I love first grade. I did say earlier to Maddie, actually, so I'll say it now because if not, she'll call me out. I said that, like, I think eventually second grade might be kind of fun because it's almost, the way I've heard it presented to me, I know second grade will come with its own, like, unique challenges and such, but it's like when they have their most independent days in first grade where you look around and they're all functioning and, like, attending to tasks, and then, but that's every day in second grade. Like, they're always able to be that independent. And I think I do find it pretty intimidating that first grade is such a big year. I'm a first grade teacher, by the way, if I didn't say that. Duh. But I think first grade is such a big year for literacy, and that's pretty intimidating. Like, you're taking on, any grade level is important, any knowledge is important. But I just find it a little bit intimidating sometimes. And I've talked about that too on my channel, about like the pressure that is creating readers in your students. So I feel like sometimes, yeah, maybe I'll like venture, but never like higher than second grade or lower than kindergarten. Yeah. But there's that.
Because you're certified 1 through 6, right?
Yeah. So in Florida, the license is K through 6. So when I was looking for jobs in Florida, or when I was like thinking of them, I was thinking, oh, I'll apply like K through 2nd, and that'll give me 3 different grade levels, like more opportunities. Well, in Massachusetts, the license is 1st through 6th. So if you want to teach K, you have to have an early childhood license, which I don't. So yeah, some states, kindergarten's not even an option. So I think I'll be in first grade for a long time. I really love the age. They're pretty innocent. They haven't had a negative experience with school yet for the most part. They're very excited to be there, and yeah, I like first grade.
Yeah.
It's a good age. What about you?
It really is.
Kindergarten,
yes. I definitely, like Lauren said, want to stay in the kindergarten to 2nd kind of grade range. I'm like, in kindergarten now, and it has been really fun to get to be the kids' first experience with school and just first of everything. It also can be kind of draining to be the one that's kind of the first one asking them to hold a pencil or line up or that kind of thing if they haven't gone to preschool before. That's kind of been something that's a little different than I expected, is just like how much work it is to teach them how to be little humans.
Everything is like a lesson.
Like everything is new. Yeah, so I really, really do enjoy kindergarten, and I think I will be there for quite a while. But I was telling Lauren earlier too, I think I would also enjoy 1st or 2nd grade, because I think they would still have that sweet and like just tenderness, but they also would be a little bit more independent. So, but definitely in the K2 grade range is my plan.
Yeah. I would say for the most part, elementary school teachers are either primary
lower
or upper elementary. They either really love the little ones and they're willing to sacrifice the independence for the innocence, or they're willing to sacrifice like the sweet newness of things for the independence. So you kind of like pick one or the other that you are more focused on. But the next one is kind of a loaded one, but you can take it first. It just says best advice for first year teachers. I mean, that's kind of open-ended.
So, okay, best advice for first year teachers. Number one thing I would say is be kind to yourself. I was not super kind to myself in August and September. Like, I was really hard on myself, and I haven't really talked about this, especially publicly, but even like with close friends, just because it was a hard season of beating myself up, of just expecting myself to be perfect at everything right away, because I've been studying to be a teacher for all these years. I've wanted to be a teacher my whole life. Like, I should be excellent at everything right away. And not to say that there's not a lot of things that I'm doing a really good job in, but there's always going to be things that we can improve in. I mean, even if this is your 20th year of teaching, there's still things that you can be improving in, but I just had kind of not accounted for that. And so I was just expecting perfection from myself in all aspects of everything, which is just unrealistic. And then I would get frustrated with myself when I wouldn't quite live up to that standard, So I would just say be kind to yourself, and also just have a support system, whether it's other teachers at your school, whether they're on your grade level or not, or friends that live across the country, or your family, or a mentor. Just have a support system, and not just one person, but like a support system of someone, like OG squad, but someone that's kind of older, maybe in the profession, and can give you some wisdom, someone that's right on your same level, so you can talk about things kind of like with no judgment. But yeah, just find your people. Be kind to yourself. Things are not gonna go always as you plan, and that's okay. Like, hardly ever. But that's okay. You know, I feel like there's a lot more things, but
there's
for now,
so many things.
That's all.
I would say That one is huge. I said this already in this video, but I don't like to fail on a public stage. Like, I don't like to be new to things and that be like public knowledge. If I'm going to be new at something, I want to be good at it right out of the gate. I don't want anyone to know that it's my first time. I want to blow them away and then think that I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, that's just my nature. So it is hard. So yeah, give yourself the grace to be new at it. Like, you're new at it. Even though we had done like so many student teaching experiences, a full year-long internship, it's still totally new. Like, it is new, and that's hard. But another piece of advice I would give, just to take it in like a different direction, to give you a different perspective, I would say find something aside from teaching that you can also focus on and dedicate some time to. So I am currently prepping for a pageant for the first time ever. Let's just let that cat out of the bag. So that's been like my thing. And the weekends I've been doing that. I've been going and, finding wardrobe for that and reading books about it and just making sure that there are other parts of me that I'm also like honoring and celebrating and leaning into, and not just teaching, because it is easy to become like obsessive about, being great at everything. And you could work and never stop working.
Yeah, we've both learned that kind of the hard way.
You could, if you say that you're going to sit down and you're not going to get up until you finished everything that you could possibly do, you would never get up. Yeah, which is crazy, because if you think about when you're an intern, you and your mentor teacher are both working in the same classroom all day long, but neither of you ever run out of things to do. So even if there were two of you, you would never run out of things to do. So yeah, just give yourself a hard stop of like when you're going to leave or something else that you're going to work on, and just take a step back from it and do something else sometimes, because you can't burn your candle at both ends.
And just prioritize like what you absolutely have to get done that day. And in my mind I was like, well, everything, like I have to do everything today. No, false. Like, what do you legitimately need for your lesson today and the next day? And that's it. And so I actually keep a running list kind of in my binder planner thing of just like to do eventually, so that when I think of things, I can just put it on there. And that really, like you said, was hard for me to wrap my head around, because I was like, no, I have to do all the things.
There are things to be done. I can do them.
It's literally, the to-do list literally will never end. So I would just say kind of, I haven't been great about this. You're much better at this than I am, but kind of just have a cutoff time, and like whatever you get done by that time, then just leave it for the next day. Yeah.
You're a human. You have needs. You have to be poured into before you can pour into the little people in your room. So,
preach.
Yeah, get filled. This one says, I like this one. Biggest challenge in the first 6 months and biggest success in the first 6 months.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good one. Do you want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll start with the biggest success. I would say biggest success would be relationships with both my kids and their families. I put a lot of effort into communicating with the families and the kids up front in the beginning of the year, of like, I filmed myself reading the night before kindergarten and sent that home with them so that like they could watch it the night before kindergarten. Made a phone call to every family within the first 2 weeks just to establish that positive connection. Just all of that kind of positive relationship building, I think, has had a really great impact on our relationships now, because they know that I am for them and I am for their kids, and I will do whatever I can to help them succeed, both the kid and the family. So I'd say that that's my biggest success, is just the relationship building has been really fun. And then I would say the biggest challenge really is just balancing it all. We talked a little bit about this in part 1, but all of the things that we observed in our student teaching, that we kind of got to peek into, now we're responsible for them. So like all of the IEP meetings, if you have any, the behavior management, the parent communication, the lesson planning, like you are responsible for all of it. And just, like the behavior management, I think just having things be a little different than what I expected. And someone gave me the wisdom that even though I've been in a lot of placements and watched and taught in, our internship that was a year long, it's different when you're the one doing it all by yourself. So I think that's just been kind of challenging for me to accept that, like I said, not everything's going to be perfect the first time. Like things are still going well, but not everything's going to be perfect. Like I had all these like Pinterest dreams of, the first time. So just like coming down from like my expectation and then reality,
For sure. I'm the queen of like Pinterest in my mind.
And
like I will say, my room turned out pretty much like a Pinterest classroom, but that does not mean that there are Pinterest worthy things happening every day by any means. But I will say, let's start with biggest
success.
Okay, biggest success. I would say my community in the classroom. My challenge has to do a little bit with communication, but just like our classroom community has been very well established. Every morning we say together, I am smart, I am kind, I can do anything. And they really embrace it and they cheer each other on. And like I see students from our classroom family out on the playground helping students from other class. It just seems like they are learning to really care for one another. And that to me is more important than anything. So I would say that's probably the biggest success. And also just my growth and like my knowledge has expanded so much. I didn't have very much experiences working with some of the circumstances that I'm working with now. And just I would count like reaching out to people and being open to their advice as a success. Like to me, that's a big success. Being flexible and learning to change and already changing in the first, like you change every day. Like you have to be willing to change things. So I would say that's a success. I've changed a lot of things as the time has gone on and just been very flexible. The biggest challenge for me, I would say, I don't know, it's hard. I mean, it being new and like
you said communication
a little bit. I have a lot of like, not a lot of, but some barriers in communicating with families just due to language. And like I have some language experience, like especially with Spanish, but not like I'm not fluent by any means. And that's been new for me to just kind of still build those solid relationships, but not being able to maybe pick up a phone and call a parent and really like dig in and unpack things together. So that's been a little bit challenging. And just like the cultural differences as well, bridging those and letting parents know that, you know, I'm open and there's no pressure here. This isn't a pressurized situation and I want to know you. Parent communication can be really hard, especially like when you're young. And I feel like I look young, like I kind of look like I'm like 18. So a lot of them came for like meet the teacher. I think that's just been the hardest thing for me is like taking myself seriously, like growing into the role and being like an adult and being in charge and responsible and like really accepting that and like feeling and projecting that, because it is easy to like be a little insecure, especially when you're younger and communicating with parents. So I think that's been a challenge for sure. All right, let's see. Okay, did I read that one? That one's kind of similar.
Yeah, what has been the best part of this year so far? Yeah, I would say both of our successes of just the community and relationships that we've built.
Yeah, for sure. What do you feel like you were most prepared for and least prepared for?
Good question.
I feel like, I feel like I was most prepared for classroom systems. I felt like I had systems modeled very well, and I knew via my experience in my internship that like the first week, even 2 weeks, even month of school is mostly about your systems and your procedures. So I felt like I was prepared to lay a solid foundation for the year, which is very hard to do after the fact, I will say. Not from personal experience, but I know like from other teachers that I talked to, like it's very hard to change or implement new systems after they've been there for like a month or so. You can't really put that genie back in the bottle. So I feel like I was prepared to implement solid structures and systems. And that's a big emphasis at the school where I'm at. My principal, our two biggest, I guess, like things that we have are 100% do it again.
Values.
Yeah, values kind of that drive like our everyday is like 100% participation or we'll do it again. And like we mean it. Like if you're in the hallway, you might get turned around to go back to your classroom and try the line again. Just like everyone's on board all the time or we'll do it again. And so those systems I was prepared to implement that really helped. Like especially now when the wheels start to fall off before break. And yeah, those have helped. I would say least prepared for. I don't know, that was kind of a hard one. I mean, kind of like the other stuff that we talked about getting a glimpse into but not being responsible for. So things like all the things that go on behind the scenes that you don't even know about. Like one night I think I was up till maybe like 11 o'clock because I had to do an EpiPen training because one of my students had been like diagnosed with a new allergy that required the auto injector. So I needed to be trained in that immediately so that he could be safe in my classroom. So just like all of the other things, there's no way, that's not anyone's fault that you weren't prepared for them. There's just no way to like possibly predict all of the things that you're going to need to know about. Yeah. So I would say those things that just come up that there's no way to like know ahead of time.
Right. Yeah, I would say pretty much everything that Lauren said, but I would just add that most prepared for, just the systems and like really just to think through. I think this was partially due to both of our internship placements were really awesome, and then our teacher preparation program that we went through really taught us to think through every little step explicitly of what you want to teach, why you want to teach it, how you're going to teach it, what you're going to do if it doesn't go according to plan. And so just thinking about all of those things ahead of time was really beneficial to both of us, I think. And then the thing that I was least prepared for, that's kind of tricky. I would say probably honestly managing some specific behaviors that I didn't see when I was in my internship classroom. Like I got a very good picture of overall classroom management and like different systems, individual, small group, whole group, all of that.
Maybe those like tier 2, tier 3 interventions.
But just like some specific behaviors that I had never seen from a kid before. And now I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't know. So I've had to reach out to like our guidance counselor, our behavior resource teacher, our team leader, my old mentor teacher. So I'm still getting help in those areas, but I just didn't really know, like you said, ahead of time to expect those things and just kind of managing those.
Yeah, those new things that happen every year. And even when you're a veteran teacher, I'm sure every year there are new challenges, new experiences. This one says, how has your first year been different than what you expected?
Yeah, I think we kind of answered that one already, kind of. But yeah, just not being perfect at everything yet. And being okay with that.
Exactly. If you could go back to your first day, week, or month of teaching, what would you tell yourself? What did you do right or what went wrong?
Good question. Oh boy. So for me, the first week of kindergarten, it was hard. Lots of things didn't go according to plan for me. Just for example, we do a staggered start at my school. And so what that means is that a small group of kids shows up on Monday, a different small group on Tuesday, different small group on Wednesday, just so they can get acclimated to everything. And it's just easier to manage a smaller group. And then everyone shows up on Thursday. And so I had laid out all of my activities for the specific, I think 6 kids I was supposed to have on Monday, the specific 7 on Tuesday, and so on. But then I had a couple of kids register that first morning. And so just kind of trying to figure out quickly, okay, where can I get the extra supplies for you? And because they hadn't even been on my roster at all, not assigned to a specific day, but they were brand new to my roster. And so I was so glad to have them, but just I think in the future, now I have a better understanding. I mean, anything after you've done it the first time, you're going to be better at it the second time around. But I think just having extra copies of everything and extra crafts prepped and all of that, just ready to go, because not everything's going to go according to plan. And just having that knowledge, because I've shared a little bit, but basically just that first week, a lot of things didn't go according to plan that were out of my control, of just a kid that was having a really hard time adjusting and needed a lot of my attention. And so I wasn't able to do a certain activity that I had planned, that kind of thing. So just being okay with that, because in the moment when I was in my very first week of teaching, I kind of got flustered because I was I wanted to do all these things. I wanted to do this craft and read this book and do this and this. And when I didn't get to, I kind of felt like a failure. And so now for next year, just being more okay with that if everything doesn't get done like I planned, that's okay.
Good one. I would say if I could go back to my first day specifically, I would tell myself to calm down. Yes, I was so terrified. Any first day of anything is terrifying, and you only have to do one first day ever.
And we did it. We're done.
You'll do a first day of school again next year, but only one first day on the job. And we did it, and we survived, and it was fine. But I was so nervous. I was so scared. And as soon as I got the first few kids, it was fine. They're scared too, so they're pretty calm in nature on that first day. But the first day, I would tell myself to calm down. After the first week or month or so was when I was really exhausted. I wouldn't say burnt out, because never was I I can't do this next year. I wasn't at that point yet, but I knew.
So exhausted.
I knew, I was exhausted, and I knew that something had to change because this wasn't sustainable. And so I would have just told myself that sooner. Listen, you can't wake up at 4 a.m. every morning and work for 2 hours before you leave for school. You can't stay at school until 6 p.m. every day and come home and not have, any personal life. My personal life was suffering, just my sanity was suffering. I was so exhausted. My performance as a teacher was suffering because I was so tired. Like, I wasn't getting any bit of recharge on the weekend either. I mean, it's all a little bit of like part of it, of learning how to plan together with your team and like getting into the routine of things is a little exhausting. Like, you're not in the routine yet. So it is new and it is hard and it's cognitively demanding. It's demanding of your time. It's hard. But I would just tell myself to push away from it, take a break, and give yourself some boundaries for sure. Yeah. That would be my biggest advice that I wish I knew sooner.
Because I still haven't done a great job at that. Lauren's done a better job at kind of setting her own boundaries of like when she leaves every day and that kind of thing. And that's something that I would like to get better at in the second half of the year. But if you could do it from the first part of the year, that would be even better.
Yeah. New decade, new you.
We got this.
General teaching questions. So we're moving into a new subject. Do you want to start the first one?
Sure. Did you both always want early elementary? Yes.
Yeah. We kind of already answered that one. I like their innocence.
K to 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's the best. Oh, this one someone asked me on mine, but when I typed it into our shared document, I was like, Maddie, this is for you. Someone said, I just got a job in kindergarten. Any advice?
Congratulations. That's really exciting. I would say don't assume that they know anything at all. You are literally teaching them how to be little humans. Some of them have gone to preschool. Some of them had experiences at home where they learned conflict resolution, how to hold a pencil, like all of those kinds of life skills. A lot of them haven't. No matter what kind of demographic and population you teach, a lot of them have not had those more formal schooling experiences. And so just like be so explicit with everything you ask them to do. I'll tell a funny story just to kind of illustrate how a kindergartner's mind works. So for example, this didn't happen to me, but the teacher next door last year, who I love, but anyway, her kids were doing like a little project on the first day of school, and she told the kids that they were gonna put their pictures up on the wall when they were done, meaning that she was going to hang them like on the clothespins on the work display when they were done. Well, the little girl had like taken a glue stick and like glued all over her paper and like stuck it on the wall because the teacher said we were gonna put them on the wall. So yeah, just they take everything so literally, especially in that first part of the year. So just really be explicit in what you are telling them to do and kind of giving them the reasoning of this is why we do this at school, this is how we do it. And then I know Responsive Classroom has, I think it's like a 7-step process of, I think it's called like the explicit modeling process or something like that, that essentially like tell them what you're doing, why you're doing it, you model it and do like a think aloud, talk through all the things that you're thinking, have a couple of kids model it, and then have a class practice and then reflect on it. So when I say that, like for example, I'm thinking of lining up, like you talk through it, you have like you practice it, 2 kids practice it, then the whole class practices it. So yeah, I would just say be explicit, don't assume that they know anything, but they are so sweet and they are doing the very best that they can with what they know. I mean, I think that's really true for all students, but don't get frustrated when they like don't do the right thing because they're not usually doing it on purpose. They just literally don't know better. So just have lots of patience, but also at the same time, be firm in your expectations. I think that's something that I was kind of struggling with in the beginning, was that I just wanted to be warm and loving and have them love school. But then when it was time that I needed to be firm about a specific behavior or a procedure that they weren't doing like I expected them to, that was a little more challenging because I had been so warm in the beginning. And so I would just say kind of balance, which is a hard thing to do. And I feel like
that's hard.
You know, it's hard for everyone, but just manage your expectations and like staying firm and have expectations for them. Like they can do a lot of things. If you push them and, you know, model it and explicitly teach them the right way, they can do a lot of things. So do that with care. Be explicit.
Kindergarten queen. So I'm happy that she was here to answer that question because I would not have had
kindergarten really is
much
the best.
Useful advice there. I think I was maybe in kindergarten for one of my placements, but like once a week for 2 hours. Not like this lady. She's a queen. All right, this next one's juicy.
Okay. What are your tips for making things work on a teacher's salary? This person said, I want to go into education, but my parents are concerned about the pay level. Any advice?
Okay. So this is different. It varies, I think, like by state, by experience level. It's always different, but generally speaking, teachers don't make what another graduate level professional would make. So making things work is different for everyone. Personally, I live with my boyfriend, so we share expenses. That's helpful. I'm not paying like a full rent and utilities and everything on my own. That would definitely be a bit more challenging, but I would say I'm still able to live comfortably given that I'm like a young single. I don't have a dog. I don't have kids to pay for. I mean, I have a car that I bought in my master's year, so I have a car payment. Like general expenses are shared, so that helps. But I would say just like prioritizing, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a big budget expert, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's easier as a young single for sure. Like
Yeah,
you don't have
definitely.
all of the added expenses. I know that it will become more challenging as like life grows and family grows, etc. So yeah, this one's hard to talk about.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I would just say like right now it's manageable, like, but it's also different because we're young. But
Right. Yeah, and I'm, like Lauren said, I'm not really a budgeting expert, but I've tried to just kind of map out first the expenses that I have to pay. So like rent, my phone payment, my car is paid off, thank goodness, but car payment before that was done, just those kinds of things, groceries, and just planning those out first and then seeing what I have left, moving some to savings. I would like to start investing some a little bit so that I can have some later on. That's something I want to look into in the new year. But yeah, I mean, we're not paid obviously what we should be, you know, for having a master's level education. But I think we've both been fine enough to not just survive, but like do
Live
things that,
comfortably,
live comfortably and like do things that we enjoy and, you know, go out to eat sometimes. And so I know for me, for sure, I had some people discourage me from teaching because of the pay level. And so that was kind of frustrating and hard in that I felt like I was always constantly having to defend why I still wanted to teach. But I would say just stay with it, keep your course. If it's something that you really, truly are passionate about, the money is not really gonna matter, you know?
Yeah, when I get out of bed in the morning, I don't picture like the money in front of my face to get me out of bed. I think about each child and what they're coming from and wondering how their night was and how the day is going to go. And I can't wait to see them come in the door. And like, that's what gets you out of bed. And that's a healthy career. So yeah, there's that one. Answered as best we can. Next one. I'm thinking, all right, sorry y'all, we are at my house in Florida with 4 dogs that just started barking. So I had to pause it for a little bit, but next question. This one says, I am thinking about becoming a teacher, but I'm losing my interest for it. Advice. And that's just how it was worded. I would say it's more of like a passion that like catches you that you can't so much get rid of. I would say find some classroom experience or some kind of experience working with kids if you haven't yet. Try to like volunteer at Boys and Girls Club or like Big Brothers Big Sisters is another great one. Be a mentor to a student and you'll really know like where your heart is. I think once you work with kids, it was my experience working with kids as a cheerleader that made me know that like there's nothing else for me. Like this is my purpose. And it is like, I would say like a purpose, like, you know, that purpose is on your heart when you get the experience and you think like, there's nothing else for me to do that will mean this much to me.
Right. And if it ends up not being teaching, that's okay too. Don't feel guilty if it ends up not being your passion. You need to do something that you're passionate about.
Yeah. I would want this like feeling for anyone to sit like so happily and like on your spare time and talk about this with each other for 2 hours just because we love it so much. Like I would want everyone to find that for whatever that thing is, whether it's teaching or not. So yeah, get some experience and see where your heart's at. This one is the last one in this section, and then we just have some like miscellaneous odds and ends to wrap it up. This one says, what is the most important thing to teach in the first week of school?
Procedures.
Yes. Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Something that I struggled with a little bit was that everyone said that you have to have everything planned out of exactly how you're going to teach all the things, which I knew and agreed with, but it also kind of stressed me out because I was like, okay, well, if I plan to have the kids, for example, like line up in this way around the classroom or come in this direction to turn in work, and then that's how I teach it, and then that ends up not working, then I'm going to be stuck in that all year. So that was kind of stressful to me at first because I didn't really understand that what's actually more important is to, yes, have a plan, teach them that plan, have them practice that plan. If it works, awesome. But if it doesn't, try a new plan. Like, you don't actually have to stay with that thing that you taught them in August all year, you know? If it works, that's great, but don't be afraid to change things that don't work. I mean, give it time to see if it'll work, but don't be afraid if you need to change things later on. Just have a plan and give it a try.
Yes, I would say that too. And I would say prioritize the procedures, like what day you're going to teach them. Mm-hmm. So like first day procedures are like survival procedures. This is where the bathroom is. This is how you ask me to go there. This is what I expect from you when you go. Because I mean, in my case, the bathroom is not in our classroom. They have to go all the way down the hallway, have to come all the way back. So that was like the first thing I taught them, because they're kids. They're going to have to go to the bathroom. Like, think like naturally which things are going to happen first. I mean, for us, it was like they need to know how to go to the bathroom and come back. They need to know how to get to specials, because we're going to have to leave in approximately 2 hours, and they're going to have to get there. Probably an hour and a half, because it's going to take us 30 minutes to actually get there. So think about them in the order of importance. Like, distributing work and collecting work in a kindergarten, first, second, like early classroom is not going to be the first thing that you teach them. Not top
priority.
Because it's not a priority. Yeah, they need to know where the bathroom is, how to get there. They need to know how to walk in a line. What I think I did like the morning, I taught them how to ask questions. I mean, they don't know that, you know, raise your hand, practicing that over and over. But we practice like,
she's back.
Okay, sorry. A Labrador retriever crashed our party. But anyways, what I was saying, let's just teach the most important ones first, the ones that you're actually going to use, because you don't want to spend the first 2 hours teaching them how to get a pencil and turn in work, and then you have to walk them down the hallway and you haven't practiced that yet.
Right. So. And procedures, like, by far most important, but also just start working on community and like not only you learning their names, but having them learn each other's names too, and just building that sense of community is really important.
For sure. The first procedure I taught them was morning meeting. We started that on the first day of school. Like, we're a group, loving each other and how to do things, the procedures. Now we are in the miscellaneous section.
The fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to ask the first one?
The other stuff wasn't fun, but
it's all fun.
Random stuff. A couple
an interview.
A couple of people asked this one. Lauren, when will we see another vlog from you?
All right. Sorry, friends. It's coming. So I mentioned, I'll just give you guys the details. I mentioned I'm doing a pageant. So I'm doing that in January, early January. I will be competing for the title of Miss Massachusetts USA. So
how cool.
It's been really fun to prepare for that, but it's also been very time consuming, as you would imagine. And me saying I like to be good at everything I do. There's that. It's been taking a lot of my time. So I haven't been vlogging as much as usual, but all this to say that I'm hoping in the new year to post one video a week. That doesn't mean that every video will be a weekly vlog. I have some other video ideas as well to share with you all. But I would expect a video as soon as like the second week of January, new vlogs. So,
sweet. I'm kind of in the same boat. I only posted one video in between August and December, which I had planned on a lot more, but just like we were talking about earlier, we want our very first priority to be our classroom and becoming experts at teaching and our kids, and that is always going to be our top priority. For sure. And so this is so fun to us and we love doing it in our spare time, but just with being in our first year of teaching, we just really wanted to focus on being good at that and doing everything we could to focus our energy on that. So I'm kind of in the same boat of that. I have a lot of vlogs planned. I mean, I wrote them out the other day of all the things that I want to film, and it's like more than a page long. So awesome. I'm hoping also to have about one a week. And like Lauren said, they probably won't all be weekly vlogs, but just a lot of random other stuff. Like Lauren and I went to lunch before we filmed this, and I was just telling her that getting kind of back into the YouTube and Instagram and all of that over winter break has kind of re-energized me and made me feel excited again, like I was feeling about it over the summer. And then just being like so exhausted from the first half of our first year of teaching. It just didn't always make the top priority list, but being back into it has just been really fun and re-energized me. So we're both going to be posting more. So
I think now that we have the headspace for it, it's time. So next question: hobbies outside of anything related to school / teaching. Well, I kind of already talked about my new hobby that I have, which is pageanting, if that's a thing. I've been prepping and doing all sorts of things on the weekends, and that's become my new hobby. That's like a fun thing to do outside of teaching or school. And then aside from that, I would say being a sports spectator is another hobby of mine. You guys know, those of you who are here from my channel, my boyfriend works in athletics and he is in season right now. So 2 nights a week, if not more than that, I'm at games being a sports fan. So that's one of my hobbies, being a fan and cheering him on and his team on. So yeah, those are my hobbies right now, aside from school.
Sweet. Let's see. I am trying hard to learn calligraphy right now. I've taken a couple of classes in calligraphy and just like hand lettering in general. And so, yeah, I'm working on that. It's been kind of hard, and that's been another thing that I actually remember the very first calligraphy class that I went to. It was taught by one of my very good friends who's so sweet, so kind, beautiful handwriting. And she was doing such a good job teaching the class, but I literally had to get up and leave because I just started crying because my very first attempt didn't look perfect like I expected. And it was a moment that I just kind of had to come to terms with, like, you can't be perfect at everything, especially on the first try. Like, everything that's new is hard at first, you know? So yeah, all of that to say, I've been working on like calligraphy and hand lettering for a couple of years, and I've started to kind of get more into like for Christmas I got some new markers and like a workbook and that kind of thing. So it's just been a fun little outlet. But I'm also kind of getting more into like graphic design type thing. And so I've made a lot of things for my classroom, but I'm really enjoying like kind of the more techie side of things and just making things on the computer and figuring out like how to edit vlogs and like getting new equipment, like the tripod and the ring light that you can see, and all of that has just been kind of fun. So yeah, I'd say calligraphy and graphic design type things.
Yeah. Alrighty, next one. Now, this is a good one because we just talked about it. Do you want to ask it?
How do you have the energy to maintain a teacher Instagram / YouTube? Look at that. Yeah, so like we both just talked about, it kind of sat on the back burner for both of us for our first little bit of teaching. But I think, again, I don't want to speak for you, but we've talked about this before. I think for both of us, it's been a really fun way to connect with other teachers that have so many good ideas. And you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt of, don't consume so much and so many ideas that you become overwhelmed and start comparing yourself to other people. But it has been such a fun outlet to get to connect with other people and find ideas that I never would have come up with or seen otherwise. So yeah, it's just been so fun. And I feel like so many of you are like my actual real life friends. There's some of you that I talk to every day. And it's just been such a fun like community building thing. So to me, I don't really view it as work. Sometimes editing the videos is work because my computer's really slow. But just the actual like community building of it all doesn't feel like work at all to me. It feels like fun.
Yeah, no, I will say that especially vlogging, I really enjoy it. It's kind of nice. It's a very reflective practice. You're constantly talking about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it is nice to keep you very grounded in what you're doing. So I don't think of that as like energy draining so much. Sometimes it's just hard, like logistically, because sometimes you don't have the time. Like if you spend your prep, for instance, helping a student with something, or you're in a meeting, or you just don't have the time throughout the day, sometimes that happens, and that's a little tricky. Maintaining my teacher Instagram, you do a lot better at that than I do. I will say I don't do as much like digital creation as Maddie, so I don't feel always that I have like new ideas. Sometimes it's hard to share things. I don't know if you ever experienced this, but sometimes I feel like I'm about to share something and I'm like, oh, someone else has probably already said that. Like they don't need to hear that from me. And then sometimes I'll say, oh, whatever, I'll just post it anyways. And people are like, oh, this is great. Like you should post more. I'm like, oh, so it is like, this is a wonderful community here. Like it's all well received. You're a player here. You're invited to this table. Like I think sometimes I just get in a mindset of like, it's my first year, what do I know? But
yeah, that's been something that I've kind of struggled with too. And if I'm being honest, it's not just in my head of just having people think, you're a first year teacher, what do you have a value to share? And that was kind of a fear that both of us had, but I've actually had some people tell me that. And so it's been kind of hard for me to have the courage to
continue,
get back out there and continue making videos and sharing things when that has been said to me by a couple of people. And so I'm trying to just remember that the opinion of a few does not determine everything, you know. And there's been so many of you that have been so kind in just being encouraging, and just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, the relationships that we've built. But yeah, I forgot what the question was.
Just about energy, I would say.
Yeah.
We both have more energy now, so they'll be even better in the future. All right, I think this is the last one. Dun, dun, dun. If you could only pick one school supply.
Okay, freeze. Can we guess each other's before we say it?
Ooh, yeah, okay. Is it like for us or is it for the kids?
Yeah, like if we could only pick one
like a
thing
teacher
for
supply.
us, yeah.
This is hard.
Can I guess yours?
Yeah.
Flare pens.
Yeah, probably. There's like a few of them up there, but that's definitely up there.
Laminating sheets, cardstock,
yeah.
color printer.
Yep, you have all these. For you, I would say like floral notebooks.
Can you just hold on a second?
Oh, do you have some?
Oh, I sure do.
Okay, floral notebooks, perhaps flare pens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Hold on, I'm coming back, I promise.
I don't know, I would say like all of the things. Storage that's all color coordinated and matching. Do you oh my goodness. See, this is why I said floral notebooks. You guys. All of them. And they're all beautiful, and they're all like Rifle Paper Company. Or what's the other one that you use?
Clementine. At Marshall's, it's the best. Yeah, you're correct. I would say anything with flowers on it.
Floral
yeah, so just any like notebook or any organization type thing that has flowers on it. Flare pens would be my number one probably, and Crayola markers. I enjoy writing with those too. And yes, any Sterilite bins that are matching in aqua.
Aqua. I don't know. This one's hard because there's so many things that like, I don't feel like I've had to repurchase anything though.
Right.
Like I don't feel like I've run out of anything that's like my go-to thing yet. But there's so many things that you need. So many.
And laminating sheets.
That was the last question.
Boo, that means I have to go home.
Yeah, you guys have to fly at 5 a.m. back to Massachusetts tomorrow.
I'm super sad.
It's been really fun though to sit and talk about everything.
Yes.
And
yeah. We feel like we kind of got to hang out and catch up, and we just let you in on our hangout session.
Yes, and we just looked at part 1, which is an hour long.
Sorry. So hope you enjoyed it.
Lots of useful information for you guys for sure. But that's everything.
Yeah. Make sure that you subscribe to both of our channels. That's that red button down below. That is just helpful for YouTube to know to suggest our videos to other people. So please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channels. In case you did miss part 1, the link, we'll put it down in the description box.
Yes.
But I think that's all for us for now. Until our next collaboration.
We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.